And now we're here in Branford, Connecticut, on the Connecticut coast. We're at Thimble Island Brewing Company. They're making some great beers here. We're going to learn about the beer making process, talk to the brewmaster. The company was started by Justin Gargano and Matt Fawcett. And again, this company is really growing. They're building a big facility right next door. We'll also taste some of the great beers here at Thimble Island Brewing Company in Branford. Here we go. We're here with Mike Fawcett. He is one of the founding partners of Thimble Island Brewing Company here in Branford, and also brewmaster. Hey Mike, good to meet you. Welcome to the show. It's good to be here. What's this room called we're in right now with all this big equipment?
This is our brew room. It houses our fermentation vessels. It also houses our brew house. That's where we are right now. We're currently standing on the brewer's platform. The mash tun will do the sugar extraction, or the mashing. We'll then draw it off into the kettle where we'll do the boiling. The boiling serves two purposes. One is to just kill any microbodies that are in the beer.
Right.
You want this to be completely sterile when it hits the tank. You only want the yeast to be the only microbody in there.
How long will it stay in here?
It varies depending on the recipe. The other thing the boil does is it integrates the hop oils into the beer. It introduces that bitterness and that flowery, citrusy kind of component to the beer. The longer you boil it for, the more integrated those oils get, and so it really depends on the style. Anywhere from an hour to 3 hours. After the boil, we're going to transfer through to one of our fermenting tanks where we'll introduce the yeast. The yeast will then start to consume the sugar, and as a product of its own metabolism, it'll produce alcohol and CO2. The bubbles you see are a product of the amount of sugar that's in there, and those big chunks that you see are kind of fats and proteins that have been separated from the wort, and we're actually going to whirlpool the entire amount and get rid of that because we don't want that in our beer. So Jim, after the boil, we transfer the wort through the heat exchanger, which is going to cool it down, and then bring it into the fermenter. That's where we introduce the yeast. The yeast plays a big part in introducing a lot of character to the beer. A lot of the scents, a lot of the flavors, kind of that breadiness you might get from a beer, even some of the fruitier tones that you might get in a beer. So after here, we'll transfer the entire contents of that tank, this time for conditioning. You're kind of just letting the beer settle. We let it sit there at freezing at 32 degrees. And it just allows any of those fine particles to drop to the bottom of the tank. That's going to really help with the clarity of the beer. It's also going to remove any of the unpleasant bitterness that the hops might provide. And conditioning plays a part in that.
Now we're here with Justin Gargano. He's founding partner and president of Thimble Island Brewing Company. Justin, welcome to the show. It's good to see you.
Yeah, great to meet you.
This is quite a place you got here, quite an operation, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. We started it about 3 years ago. Prior to that, we were just a bunch of home brewers. And, we kind of did a lot of brewing just for fun. And then one day we had a little too much to drink, like, hey, let's open a brewery. And that's how it started off from there. We have our 3 staple beers right now. We have our American Ale, that's our flagship. It's 5% alcohol. We developed that recipe during our homebrew days, and it's our actually most sought after beer. A lot of the public likes it. What do you think?
That's very good. That's really smooth.
Thank you.
Really, really good.
This is our second beer that we actually created. That's our coffee stout. We make it with Willoughby's Coffee, which is a local roaster in town.
Sure, right.
We put the beans in the fermenter to give it kind of that more aroma to it. That beer itself is 6% alcohol. We didn't want to make it as thick as a typical stout. We made it a lot lighter. Once again, we wanted to go for that more approachable beer.
That's really different. That's terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do get the hint of the coffee. And what's this one?
That is our IPA. It's an Indian Pale Ale. So the story goes is that the British themselves were bringing beer over to India, and they were having issues with keeping it fresh. So what they did is they increased the amount of hops in it and the alcohol, and it kind of acted as like a natural antimicrobial. So we wanted to replicate that, and there's a big surge of that being replicated in the United States right now.
What started in a condo is now a great facility here in Branford, but getting even bigger and better with the new facility next door. Continued success, Justin. This is really exciting.
Hey, thanks.
And let's do a little toast.
Toast.
Hey, Mike. To join us. Toast to continued success. I mean, it's really great to see two buddies, have a successful company like this and provide such a fine product. We've got ours ready to go for family and friends. In Branford, I'm Jim Masters, Connecticut Perspective TV.